I'm Steve Burchick with Veterans Voices, and we're here today with retired Army Major General Dan Helix, who also had a long career as mayor of Concord, California. He is also the author of the Cochi Maru Affair. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephen. It's good to be here.
When did you join the Army, and what were the circumstances?
I joined January 12th, 1948 at the Presidio of San Francisco. I'd finished high school, and my boxing coach, who had been in World War I, thought that I might enjoy Army life and also the GI Bill. My family was very poor, couldn't afford to go to school. And so I joined at the urging of my boxing coach, but it was to get the GI Bill so I could afford to go to school.
What was the most memorable incident during your tour in Korea?
You know, you asked me that question, Stephen, and it was really funny because my first reaction was, as I thought about what had happened, the most memorable situation was when I knew that I was going home and walking off the hill and wondering if a sniper was going to get me or something, because I had finished my tour and I was on a way back to the world. And that really, I think, was probably, there were other experiences, some humorous, some sad, but the most memorable was that I had survived and I was going home.
We're glad you made it back, sir. You and I had talked prior to the show, and you mentioned that you have been affected by PTSD.
Yes.
When did you first realize you had symptoms?
I knew when I came home that I was not the same person who went to war. I had developed a bad temper. I was impatient. I had low tolerance for things that before had not troubled me. And I found that, for example, at Cal, I got into an argument with a fellow, and instead of resolving it, I resorted to, I clipped him one. And I thought, you know, why did I do that? And I realized that that I had changed. But ironically, what really brought it about, I'd been wounded a couple of times in Korea, so the VA had called me for to have my wounds checked. And one of the stops on this checklist, on this form they gave me, was at a place that where I walked in and I wasn't sure why I was there. And it was a large room, and there was a desk and a chair. And I looked around, and the fellow motioned, you know, come on in. So I came in, and he pointed to the chair, and I sat down. And he said, "Do you know why you're here?" I said, "No." He had a handheld mic, and he started talking into this mic. And he talked for about a minute. And I said to him, "What are you saying? I gave you a one-word answer. No." And then he said, he wants to know what, and I said, enough of this BS. And I got up and I started after him. And he said, "Stop." He said, "I'm sorry. I'm just doing my job." I said, "What the hell is your job?" He said, "I know your record." He said, "I'm supposed to talk to you." He said, "You got a boiling point of 0. He said, "You have to control that. You're going to hurt someone." I said, "So?" He said, "That's my job." I said, "That's the way you do your job?" I got up and walked out. But I thought about it. And I thought, he's right. And I recognized that I was very impatient. And someone said something. He said, you know, it's like being born again. And he said, it's like in the Bible, you have to be born again. And I thought about that and realized that I needed to concentrate on changing my attitude. So I'd like to say that I got counseling, but I kind of figured out that the way I was going was the wrong way. And really, that's how I recognized that I had PTSD and that I had to be aware of it and treat people different, just be different.
On another subject, in addition to your novel, I understand you've written some poetry. It sounds like you're quite a writer, or you seem to enjoy it. Would you be able to share one of your poems with us?
Well, yes, I did bring one poem. I feel that I'm learning how to write, but I did bring one because it's something I was, again, thinking about the PTSD problem. So there is a short poem, a couple of verses on PTSD. Tethered, the brotherhood of war, angry metal sounds, kite's tail whipping, ripping, tearing, scarlet rainbows arching, panic, anger, shock, fear, survivor's guilt, depression, never fully expurgated, somnolent, awake in post-combat fog, sensitivity, creating gray shadows, fraught with anxiety, descent into madness, equilibrium distorted, hanging in time, space, blank check signed and cashed.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Finally, last question is, what would your advice to be to other veterans who are considering writing about their military experience?
Oh, I would encourage it. You know, I think one of the things that will help veterans, you cherish the time when you can be by yourself and put your thoughts down in writing. For me, the purpose of writing was, as I said earlier, to exorcise the demons. I found it really helped me to get a lot of the anger down on paper. So write about it. But I also would say to the veterans, I don't know why this is, but it always, maybe it's because they're closer. But the spouses have a tremendous impact. And if there's difficulties, it can become it can become increased significantly. I was going to say exacerbated. I never used that word before as a general.
Okay. Use more clear, direct terms.
But it does apply. So recognize that your loved ones do love you, and they want you to be like you were, and you're not, but you can get pretty close.
Sounds like good advice.
Thank
Dan,
you.
it's been great chatting with you, and
Thank you,
thank you
Stephen.
for coming to Veterans Voices.
You bet.